My name is Joyce. I'm a human trafficking survivor. I want to tell you my story, and I want you to hear it.
Welcome to My Healthy Mind. I'm Elizabeth Atkins. Today we're taking on a very difficult, very troubling and misunderstood issue, that of human sex trafficking. Difficult because it's almost inconceivable how widespread and mainstream this problem is, and because it receives little sympathy, largely because the issue of human sex trafficking is so terribly misunderstood. This is not a morality tale about prostitution with all its judgments on human weakness and vice. This is the uncomfortable work of exposing a very troubling world of power, degradation, exploitation, poverty, and crime, where human beings are bought and sold for sex, held in enforced bondage, terrorized, and traumatized. Who does this? Why do they do it? Why don't trafficking victims just run away? And most importantly, why don't we know about this? I have with me today one of the most courageous people I've ever interviewed, ever met, Miss Joyce Haskett, a clinical social worker, therapist, and author with a personal story so important and so harrowing that it reads like fiction. But it isn't, it's true. Ms. Haskett, thank you very much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me, and please call me Joyce.
I will do that. So Joyce, tell us about your upbringing, your childhood, your family life before you became a victim of human trafficking.
Well, I never knew who my father was, never knew who he was, and that affected me a great deal of my life. I had the kind of grandmother who never had a house that wasn't big enough for all of us because she just knew that we would end up there, my mother, my brother, myself. They were good people, but functioning alcoholics, having a good time. And I remembered being in my room, in my bed. I'm 7 years old. And I was in my room, and I was in my bed, and I wake up in the middle of the night, and there's a man sitting on the end of my bed. And he's got one hand over my mouth, the other hand in my pajamas, saying, "You better not tell. You're going to get in trouble." And somewhere in his excitement, he must have forgotten where he had his other hand. And what I remembered was this man had very large hands, and his other hand was no longer over my mouth, but it was over my nose, and I couldn't breathe. And I was in all that pain. And I remember laying there saying, "Where's Jesus? Where is Jesus? Where's Mama? Where's anybody?" And he hurt me. He hurt me. And what's worse is there was a room full of people 15 feet away. What makes it more worse is that this man did this to me for as long as he was a friend of the family. Did I tell? No, you don't tell. Because you'll get in trouble, right? You better not tell. And I had to be the bad person. It had to be my fault. How does a 7-year-old explain the concept of being raped? Or how does she explain to you that the reason she always holds her head down when you talk to her is because if she looks up, you'll know what she did? So that was pretty much the beginning of my childhood. And there's something about being molested at an early age. There's this aura that you kind of wear, and it's as if it automatically attracts other predators. So I'm saying that to say I'd been molested by friends of the family, family members, deacons in the church. Yeah, we got problems in our churches. So my level of self-esteem was destroyed before it was ever able to be developed. And again, having something happen to you at that young of an age, you have no idea what the word worthless means. You don't know what it means. You just feel like everybody else is better than you are. And that's how I grew up.
So then how old were you when you first got involved in the sex trade? How did that happen?
Well, I think a lot of people think it starts at that first transaction between the woman and the man. Okay, hi, my name is Joyce, and if I'm here to have sex with you, you're going to pay me money, and if things go well, maybe we can do it again sometimes. No, that's not how it goes. That's not how it starts. It starts way back at some point in your life because of a feeling or an event where there's sheer vulnerability. It starts when you are waiting for someone to love you. And so I grew up promiscuous. I was having full-blown sex at 14, and it wasn't that I was trying to be a tramp. I wasn't. But I was trying to show the boy that I loved him by giving him the very best thing that I had. Because that's what they say to us. If you love me, you'll do this. If you love me, you'll give me that. So I was the girl that all the guys wanted to be with, but nobody wanted to take home to meet their mother. I spent most of my life waiting for other people to make me good enough. They won't. They won't. And so by 16, I had pregnant with my first child. 18, pregnant with my second one, 2 different fathers. And I didn't know how to be a good mother. So 19, 20, here he comes, riding by in his big car, girls, money. He told me I was pretty. He wanted to spend time with me, took me to dinner, fancy restaurants. He was exciting. He wasn't handsome at all, but he was charismatic. He was funny. And he bought me designer clothes and designer shoes and handbags. All of a sudden, I'm somebody. He validated me. Took liquor and money to my mother and grandmother. They loved him. Oh, they loved him. And I thought that he really, really loved me. So they're loving him. He's taking care of them. I'm happy. Everything's going wonderful. And then you wake up one day and the honeymoon is over. It's over. My name stopped being Joyce, and this and that, and I would get knocked down for saying things like I thought. You don't think, I think for you. Take away all your identity, driver's license, social security card, anything that identifies you as a person, they take away, because now you're not a person. You are a product and you belong to them. I would show up at my mother's house all beat up, and it would be, well, Joyce, what do you keep doing to this man to make him do this to you? And if you leave him, what about us? He's good to us. That was my support system. So all of a sudden, appointments are being made for me in hotel rooms. Promiscuity is one thing. Being a tramp is one thing, because at least you get to choose who you're sleeping with. But you never know who's on the other side of that hotel door waiting for you, what their mindset is, what they're going to do to you. And it's probably one of the scariest things you can experience. I remember once walking in, and there were three men. They had already talked about what they were going to do to me before I got there. And they hurt me. And if we're going to talk about human trafficking, let's talk about it. It's not pretty. It's ugly. And it's painful. And it's degrading. It's demoralizing. You hope it's over. You hope you can get up. And when you do get up, you walk to the bathroom like it's no big deal. Then you get ready for the next one. Every night, sometimes 10, 15 times a night. You don't get weekends or holidays off. You don't get sick time. If there is a demand, somebody's going to work. Somebody's going to fill that demand. There are all these wonderful definitions, legal definitions for human trafficking. But this is what human trafficking is. One person steals another person's life, and they sell it for money. They sell it for profit. People ask the most stupid question: why didn't you just leave? While my family was on one side of town talking about how much they loved him and how good he was to them, he was on the other side of town saying things to me like, go ahead and leave and you'll come to your mama's funeral. Or go ahead and leave and I'll have those two of yours turned out in a week. Talking about my two sons. That's the kind of thing that will make you get in a car, drive across the state, turn tricks, bring back every bit of the money with no ID because you don't want to see your family hurt. You don't want to see them hurt. And you know that the person who's making these threats is very capable of carrying them out without remorse. That's the kind of thing that won't let you go, won't let you leave. Human trafficking is not all about sex. It's about money and power and control and manipulation. Once I was the entertainment at a party. They stripped me naked, put me in the bed, and beat me with pool sticks. The wager was how many licks I could take before I went down. And they beat me. And they beat me. Then the guy broke the stick over my head. I thought it was over. He called for another stick, that's all. And he started to beat me with that one. And I went down. And I couldn't see, but I could hear. And I heard a man say, you've got to kill her. You can't take her to the hospital because they are going to ask too many questions. So they wrapped me up in a sheet like a mummy, put me in the back seat of a car, drove me to a Detroit hospital, and threw me on the back deck like a bag of garbage. Like a bag of garbage. I was out there for about 3 hours. A maintenance man found me. Someone took me in, One person asked me one time what happened to me. And when I didn't tell, nobody asked again. And what I learned was that when people ask you a question like that, then they're responsible to do something. People don't want to get involved for whatever reason. And they justify not doing anything by saying, this is the life she chose. This is just par for the course. I was in that hospital for 13 days. And when they released me, guess who they released me to? To him.
Stress, depression, and severe mental illness can happen to anyone. Team Wellness Center has been helping those struggling with these conditions in southeastern Michigan.
No one should ever have to feel so alone.
Within 24 hours of reaching out to our team, members receive psychiatric evaluations and begin the necessary treatment for recovery.
Despite what you've been through, you can overcome.
Team Wellness Center. You are not alone.
Joyce, why do you think you were chosen for this? What made you a target?
Low self-esteem. Needing to be validated, needing to be wanted, needing to be loved. No structure. Young people think they have everything under control. You never know who's watching you. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry annually. They are very subtle at recruiting. They know who to look for. They are, and with social media, it's making it so much easier. It's as if they're in our malls, they're in the schools, they are at the parks. They come, the easiest way to come after you or to recruit you or to get you is the deception, the boyfriend, girlfriend kind of thing. I want to be your boyfriend. And there's too many of our girls and even young boys who need that, and they are looking for that. And with social media, they don't know who they're talking to.
So what was going through your psyche as this was happening, your emotions, your feelings, and how did you cope?
It was rough because I thought, how did my life ever come to this? I knew I wanted to be loved. I knew I wanted validation. I didn't know at the time it was validation. But this was never part of my life's dreams, my life's goals. And it wasn't about coping. Now it was about survival. How do I survive this? How do I get out of this? So here I am. And I think the life expectancy of a survivor, a victim on the streets is 4 years. But I knew that if I didn't get out, either he was going to kill me or somebody in the streets was going to kill me. My psyche was, the only way for me to survive this is to kill him. And who wants to think something like that? So I got a gun and I took it back to the house and I hid it in an upstairs bathroom that he didn't use. Came downstairs when it was time. I was scared to death, but I wasn't afraid for the reasons you might think. I was afraid of things like, what if the gun doesn't go off? Or what if he sees it? Or what if it jams? And he was lying there on the sofa laughing, and I stood up, looked at him, and shot him. I just shot him. I shot him once in the head, and I stood there and I watched him die, and I thought that something was wrong with me because I didn't go to pieces, or I just felt safe. got myself dressed, found keys, got out of there, left town, came back 2 weeks later, turned myself in, went to jail. And I'm sorry to say that night I went to jail was the best sleep I had had, and I don't know when. I regret taking someone's life. You know, it's something you live with. But at the same time, I do not apologize for living. I do not apologize for being alive. When I heard the judge say, you're guilty of murder in the first degree and I sentence you to spend the rest of your natural life in prison, and you have non-parolable life, you will die in prison. It's just unreal. I didn't want to die in prison. So I decided that I was going to learn everything I could about how to help women and their children. And there wasn't much for women in prison back then. No education, no opportunities for education. And most importantly, there was no access to courts for women. And what I mean by that is they had no law libraries, none of that. I mean, guys in Jackson, they were rolling. They had everything they needed. But a few years in, some progressive attorneys, young attorneys, came out of the University of Michigan and started to work on Case for Women. This one particular attorney, absolutely amazing, Deborah LaBelle, and she fought for women for 11, 12 years. And we finally won at the end of the lawsuit. Women won the right to go to school at least and get an education, access to the courts, things like that. And luckily, I was one of 3 amazing women chosen for a pilot program through the University of Michigan. And I'm so proud to say I'm the first one of the 3 to graduate. Now, mind you, I had 5 appeals. 5. I won 5 appeals. And every single one was overturned by the Michigan Supreme Court. I had no money, no more attorneys. I had nothing. But I'm going back in front of the same judge who denied the last 5 appeals. Well, the judge died. And a new judge is appointed, a woman. My attorney calls and says, I got a call from the prosecutor saying that you were on his mind all night long. He vacated my sentence. So I get back to court. The judge says, I can't send you back to prison because you don't have a sentence.
Okay, so how did you finally secure your release?
All I heard the judge say was, Joyce, have a good life. I walked out of that courtroom after 17 years, 120 days. And I stood in the sunlight for the first time with no leg irons, no handcuffs, no belly chains. And I was free. No parole, no halfway house. I was just free.
Joyce, how, with all you went through, with all the horrors, did you take this experience and make it into something positive for your professional advocacy and your clinical career to help other people?
I mean, 5 years ago, who knew what human trafficking was? But now, all of a sudden, there's an avalanche of people who want to be aware, who are being made aware, who want to do something about it. And it's not that people haven't seen it before. They just didn't know what they were looking for. They didn't know what to look for. But now they do, and they're becoming aware. And more young girls and boys are being rescued every day. And it feels good to know that I am a part of that. So I've been a part of the problem for a long time. You know, it wasn't my choice, but I was a part of the problem. Now I'm a part of the solution. And that makes me feel really good.
So what's the biggest misconception that people have about human sex trafficking, and what would you like our viewers to know about that?
Don't think it can't happen to your child or that your child is immune. He or she is not. I want people to know that if they don't pay more attention to who's paying attention to their children, there could be a very high likelihood that their child could be involved in something like this.
So what message would you have for people who are trapped right now in the world of sex trafficking?
Don't you dare give up. You find a way to keep believing that somebody out here is thinking about you. Somebody is praying for you. Somebody is working for you. Just don't give up.
My job was causing me so much stress.
I felt disconnected and frightened.
I felt so isolated.
I was beginning to feel trapped, depressed. I never expected that to happen to me.
We think nobody else feels the pain that we feel, but that is so untrue.
It's good to be able to talk about it.
I was able to seek help. I found it from Team Wellness.
It's a sense of freedom.
Team Wellness Center. You are not alone.
Joyce, for our viewers who are inspired by your story and want to do something to help, what is your advice to our viewers on what they can do to help?
If you see something and you suspect that something is wrong, call somebody. Call the human trafficking hotline number. Dial 911. Contact community mental health or some mental health professional if you suspect that someone has been trafficked or sexually abused. Most importantly, you must contact your senators, your legislators, your state representatives that advocates for the victims of human trafficking. Don't keep this thing hidden. If you have a story, tell it. If you know that something is going on somewhere with someone, tell the story. Nobody's going to judge you. The story you tell may very well save the life of somebody else.
Thank you for watching. If you'd like to learn more about this or any other mental health topic, please visit us at myhealthymind.com, follow us on Twitter at myhealthymind, or on Facebook. We'll see you next week for another edition of My Healthy Mind. Let's talk about it.